Welcome to the DL Gaming Podcast. This episode, we're going to be talking about Total War, Warhammer 3, Thrones of Decay, and Star Wars Republic Commando. Those are both kind of mouthfuls. But first, my name is Christian.
I'm Bobby.
And I'm Nick. There's no Emilio today, for those who were wondering. So this is an Emilio-free PG-13 rated podcast today. So
Yes, tell your kids. Yes, they can finally listen. It's we
your
automatic-
teenagers.
Yeah.
Tell the Zoomers.
iTunes, I don't know if Spotify does this, but iTunes automatically rates the episode explicit if they hear a swear in the episode. So maybe we'll get that label off this episode. If no one swears, we could do it.
Fuck, man. I don't know if I could do that.
No shit. We're back. Okay, Bobby, we're plugging today. What do we got?
Well, first of all, we've got a new patron. Thank you, Tommy, subscribing to us on the Patreon. We appreciate it, man. Welcome aboard. And also, I just wanted to remind everyone you can mail us stuff. So we got a letter and a package today. Well, I picked him up today. So the letter was from our good buddy Lars in Norway. He sent some more Flesh and Blood cards. So I've got to talk to Emilio and figure out when we're going to play that game. I got to head down there with the decks and get some game time in. The other package was from Warconius, and it was a whole slew of Canadian candy, chips, soda, energy drinks. So
Interesting.
We'll be digging into that next week when Emilio's back, because I'm going to drop some off over at his place. But if you want to mail us something, you can do that. Just head on over to our Discord. You can get to it through our website, dlgaming.net.
That's awesome.
I actually have my own mailing story from one of our fans. So Pyronical reached out to me and he was like, "Hey man, do you have this mini?" And it was a very, very interesting mini that's actually pretty rare. And I was like, "I don't, what's up? What's the question about? Is there something I can help you with?" And he's like, "I found this mini in my dad's storage, and do you want it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll take it. I'll take free stuff. I'll pay for the shipping because you're in all the way in New Zealand, and that's going to be $1 bajillion." And he's like, "Okay, well, is there anything else you want from New Zealand?" And I gave him like a shopping list, and he's like, "I got it all. It's on its way. It's gonna be here in like 2 days, 3 days, like 2 weeks." Yeah, so it's gonna be awesome, dude. Once I get my All Blacks rugby jersey, I'll be putting that on and doing the podcast in it in my worst New England accent, not New England, New Zealand accent. Fucking New England accents, but yeah, I'll be doing my best New Zealand accent for the show while wearing that. So that'd be great.
That is awesome. Okay, I'm looking forward to your Kiwi accent. I spent a lot of time there, so I'm also looking forward to judging this candy that Warconius sent. Canadian candy isn't too different. I'm wondering if he went to like. I'm wondering if he's getting you guys like word on the street candy, or if he went like hyper specific, like I don't know.
This is from Ottawa. This grandma makes it next to my house.
Exactly. A friend of a friend. Okay. On this show, we start off by pinging something interesting, and I wanted to ping a cool inventory management system by the makers of Industria 2, which is this small indie game first-person shooter on Twitch, where you are stranded in a parallel dimension and you have to destroy these robots on the way out. Kind of seems like a little Half-Life. So what they've put together for their game is when you press I, your character unfurls their backpack and throws it on the ground in front of them. And the things still take up inventory space as they would in a normal inventory, but your character is actually moving things around on this backpack on the ground. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. Looking through the Twitter comments, you can do this during combat, but the game still is progressing. So you can't just press I, switch a weapon. It's more of like a realistic inventory management system. And yeah, it looks awesome. And it just made me think, has this never been done before? Have you guys seen anything like this in a game?
There's actually something kind of similar. It doesn't have the live movement kind of. The Forest the second one has a better version than the first one. But what it is you unfurl your backpack on the ground and you look at all of your inventory on like a little tarp. And the way
Right.
you mix things is just clicking them and then combining them. And it's a little similar, but that's the only thing I can think of that I know of.
Okay, cool. Well, this is pretty similar to that then. It looks awesome, and I haven't heard of Industria 1 or 2 before, so this little showcase made me click on the Steam page, and the game looks kind of cool. So check out Industria, maybe. They'll have a cool inventory management system in their game. Nick, what are you pinging this week?
Boy, howdy. Let me get this bubble out of my throat. There we go. There has been some leaks from a credible leaker, if you can call leakers that, which kind of sucks. Leaks kind of hurt developers sometimes. Sometimes they don't, if they kind of deserve it. But Creative Assembly had a kind of a major leak happen. This guy leaked some information about the next couple Total War games, like Total War 3 Kingdoms 2 being canceled. But he had 3 big announcements that were in conjunction kind of confirmed based off job postings in Germany. There was job postings about a year ago for Creative Assembly looking for RTS designers specifically for vehicles, which is not a normal thing that's in Total War games. So people are like, that has to be Total War 40K. So people, the leaker confirmed that Total War Warhammer 1 will be coming out, which is arguably the most ambitious of the 3, based off of the fact that it probably will have to use a new engine for trenches and things like that.
Sorry, you said Total War Warhammer 1, but do you mean World War?
Sorry, not Total. Sorry. I'm so sorry. You are correct. I'm just skipping ahead to the highlights section. It's been a while, people. I've been gone for 2 weeks. I was really high in California, okay?
Right.
No. Yes, I mean Total War World War 1. Which is very interesting because of the fact that there's no trench system in the game right now. How's live battles going to be? Like, how big are the battles going to be? Everyone's saying that they're going to need a new engine for that completely.
Right.
Which if they do, that's good. People think that same engine, because there's tanks and other vehicles in World War One, is probably going to be used with the other game that the leaker announced is Total War Warhammer 40. Total War Warhammer 40K. There you go. And that is not going to be a flagship game, not like Total War Warhammer 3 or Empire or Shogun. It is going to be a short game, kind of like Total War Troy, like one of their filler games, which people are kind of bummed about, but kind of, I don't know, like excited about it. Who knows? It might strike very well and they might decide to make a flagship game out of it. But the biggest of big announcements out of all 3 of them is the leaker announced that Total War Star Wars will be coming out, ideally in 2026 or 2027, which is insane. I think it's cool. Once again, all 3 of these games deal with not line infantry and not line formations for their units, so they're all probably going to run off the same engine. Where it probably is going to be big squads or large spread out units versus like Civil War or colonial times line infantry where everyone's shoulder to shoulder and then charging at each other and things like that. So yeah, really big leaks. Sorry that was such a long ping section, but a lot of news for that. So what about you, Bobby? What the heck is Deadlock?
You haven't heard of Deadlock? Wow.
I have never heard of Deadlock.
It's all anybody's talking about right now. So Deadlock is supposedly this new hero shooter that Valve is working on. This was leaked and it's not confirmed, and there's some screenshots out there. Who knows what can come of this, especially when we're talking about Valve. So I'm just kind of amazed about, not really, I guess, but people have really jumped to conclusions, man. The articles that are spinning up from this.
It's a news cycle. Let's go. All aboard.
Print whatever the fuck we can.
Yeah. I saw one that I thought was especially amusing where someone was like, if Deadlock is Valve's new game, this could be the end of Valve or something like that. It was
wow.
Yeah.
It was pretty
right.
Right. But I don't know. Valve does make a lot of really good games, but also remember they made Artifact. Does anyone remember that? Yeah, me neither.
The card game?
Yeah. I think there's like 4 people playing it right now. What's the Steam charts on Artifact? I think they tried to like relaunch it or reboot it too, but yeah, nobody. I remember when they announced that at what's the big Dota 2 event they have, the international, and
Yeah, isn't it just called the International?
yeah, you could hear the reaction from the crowd. It was not good.
Yeah, everyone was like, "Is it Team Fortress 3?" And then people were like, "It's Artifact," and we were like, "Oh,
Yeah. Well, they announced it at the international, and I think people were expecting something related more
Dota."
to Dota. Yeah, so I think there was some disappointment. But yeah, I don't know. Deadlock. I looked at the screenshots. It looks all right. Again, like who knows? Valve always starts up projects, doesn't finish them. They're very secretive about stuff. Who knows what'll happen with it?
Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, if it does come out, I mean, I imagine it'd be free to play. I'd check it out, but I don't know. Is it too late to get into the hero shooter game? Is that a tapped out genre?
Yeah, it certainly has a lot of titles within it, but I guess we hope that Valve has a unique take on something. But like Valorant already has, I don't know. I think they like cornered the market on like this hero shooter, like hardcore hero shooter, which this game kind of looks like, at least in the screenshots.
Yeah, it
Who
looks a
knows?
little
This
more
all
on the
might be a
serious side.
ruse. It may be the next Team Fortress. Maybe it's just a decoy.
Valve is playing 50D chess.
I want Team Fortress 3. I don't give a shit. But I
Yeah,
want
I
a
saw-
third game of anything from Valve.
I saw
please.
that exact meme. It's like when fans want Valve to make a third of anything. Nope. It's a hero shooter called Deadlock, folks. Okay, that's cool. The Star Wars news, I was off in another room, is awesome for the Total War games. I would be so excited to have a modern day Empire at War, which is kind of the last Total War-ish grand strategy game in the Star Wars universe. And the other exciting thing is that means that Bit Reactor's strategy title probably isn't a grand strategy. It probably is something more similar to an XCOM, in which case I think we will see Bobby's prediction of the Bad Batch as a video game come true. I really do. I think that's what it means. Yeah.
It's got to happen at some point. But yeah, I mean, Star Wars, this would give me a reason to play a Warhammer 40K game. I think I've played one in the past, but I don't think I've ever really enjoyed them.
You mean a Total War game?
Oh, it is a Total War game.
Yeah.
These titles do not help. It's like
There's a lot of war.
Yeah,
Yes. There's a lot
it's
of
very
war.
repetitive.
World
very
War
long.
One, Warhammer,
They don't make
Star
any
Star
Wars.
Total
Why
War.
can't it be like Tea
Warhammer,
Party?
Hammer of
Like
War,
total Tea Party Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, I would be willing to check this out if that came out. That would be that could be a good time. And what Nick was talking about earlier with the way the formations are and these, if you watch the Star Wars movies, which I have been doing a lot recently, like they really line up like an old fashioned infantry.
They do,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. The only people that don't are the commandos, really. They're the ones that are like running around, running and gunning, and like
guerrilla
rebels.
warfare. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's really it on everything for pinging or worth a ping.
Okay, before we move on, real quick, I forgot to say the most important part of this episode, the thread that takes you from the beginning to the out. Bobby and Nick are actually right now live competing against each other in a game of bingo. Bobby has a bingo card with things that Nick does, and Nick has a bingo card with things that Bobby does. And by the time that we hit the Guess That Sound segment, if anyone completes a bingo, which is, 3 in a row, we all know what a bingo is, folks, that person, Guess the Sound will be a game that person loves and enjoys. So every week they have to hear this sound. They hate it. Maybe they do. And if they win this bingo game, they can look fondly to that section. Well, they'll hear a comforting sound. So yeah, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, it's fun. My bingo card's pink, so I like it.
Yeah, so is mine.
fun.
Fuck you, Sniper. Bingo cards supposed to be different.
I didn't.
Mine was supposed to be the color of blood.
I didn't customize the bingo cards. It's shameful. Okay, so highlights, games that we have been playing. Nick, start us off. Total War Warhammer.
Yeah, a lot of Total War in the beginning of this section. So new DLC came out for Total War Warhammer 3, which is, according to the same leaker, is the last Total War Warhammer game. But the Total War Warhammer 3 received a DLC called Thrones of Decay. This is very interesting because their last DLC was not well received at all. It was considered too expensive, not enough content, and boy howdy were people pissed off. The page for the game and the DLC went down to like 40% approval. They got trashed, their stock went down, a lot of things happened. So they finally listened to their people, and which is a good sign when you listen to your players and you make constructive changes. So this DLC is not one big one like it usually is. Usually you pay like $20 or $30 for 3 factions. This one is 3 different factions, but you can buy them individually for $8 each or $8.99. Which is nice. Although
That doesn't
for me,
sound better.
Well, some people don't. Okay, so some people have beaten the game with certain races and don't want to beat it again, or they don't want to play a race at all. Like, let's say I love Chaos Demons, right? So I want to play every single Chaos Demon race, and I don't give a shit about dwarves. So I'm not going to buy the dwarf pack. All the content in the DLC is still there. I just cannot play with it. Like, I cannot have the new units in the dwarf pack. The other dwarfs in the game, the AI have it, but I cannot access it.
Oh, okay. Does anyone hate the dwarves, though? Sorry to nitpick this example you made up on the fly. Is there a race that nobody would like to play? You hate dwarves?
I don't hate them. I dislike them. The only race hate and dislike are a different thing. Hate, you spit in someone's face. Dislike, you'll be around them.
Okay.
What do you call it? As far as all the races, I mean, Slanesh, it's just so, like, I don't know, which is like a chaos demon about excess and pleasure and sex. Actually, you know what? The Dark Elves, fuck them. You know,
fuck the Dark Elves.
I hate them. they're terrible people.
Yeah.
Incestuous bastards.
Yeah. I didn't know that. Yeah, I hate them.
What do you call it? So as far as the races that did get DLC for this game, oddly enough, and the reason why I bought up dwarves is one of the ones that did get DLC. The dwarves, the Empire, which is a classic race, which is a race from the original game, and the Nurgle Demon factions all received DLC units and factions. The Nurgle Demons received a new leader, which has like a mount. They received like, I think 8 new units or 6 new units, a lot, which is quite a bit for a DLC. Every race received that amount, like quite a big handful of new units. Every race received a new campaign mechanic, which is unique to those faction leaders as well. Though the race I've been playing so far is the dwarves because they finally
yeah, make it make sense. Yeah. You just said you disliked it.
So let me make sense. Okay. So I've beaten the Empire campaign with all the Empire leaders, and I don't want to play the Empire again.
Okay.
Anytime soon. Nurgle, I just hate the playstyle. It's so slow. The lore behind them, I like. It's cool. But the thing is, I have always waited for a certain character to be added to the dwarves for me to play them, and it's a master engineer. And he's a guy that was a slayer, which is like a person that's like destined for death unless he like completes a quest where it's pretty much a suicide mission. He completes it, and now he's like a super engineer, and it's pretty cool. All of his units have like bonuses to anything like mechanical. And then the other thing is that he has a new mechanic where you have to complete minor quests to unlock benefits for your units that are all mechanical as well. But he has the new strongest unit in the game, which is the Sky Barge, I think it's what it's called. Thunder Barge, that's what it is. It's a dwarf zeppelin with gunners on the side of it and a cannon on the front and a giant harpoon. There are videos of people using this thing in mass quantities to just completely take over the game and not lose a single battle. It does great on auto resolve, which means you can either have the AI fight the battle for you or you can do it by yourself. it is insanity. They've already nerfed it and it's still broken.
So let me get this straight. You hate the dwarves, but
I don't hate them, I dislike them.
you are a little whore for the dwarves sky barge.
Engineers.
You want you want your dirty
The thunder
hands
barges.
all over the thunder barge. Okay,
Hell
I
yeah,
get it.
dude.
I get it.
Dude, one of their upgrades gives them a giant flamethrower, and I'm like, dude, this is so cool.
That does sound very cool.
It's so far I've been really liking it. I've been playing it pretty much every other day when I'm not playing Magic. But yeah, this is something. It's pretty much a whole new game. Like once again, every time they come out with DLC for these games, it's pretty much at least not 40, 15 to 20 hours of content in the game. So
That's so cool. And from what we were talking about earlier, for them needing a new engine to work some of the mechanics of Star Wars or World War One, and they've gone so far in the Warhammer games with like all these really cool units. Like maybe they've already done some of the work needed to get a Star Wars ship in game, yeah.
There's definitely things that you can be like, you know what, that could be translated into like a giant spider droid, or hey, that could be translated into a droidica. Like there are things that definitely do fit that mold, but the problem is like those units that are like small squads that are separated, that are like really supposed to take cover and stuff. Those are the things that are probably going to give the engine a little bit of a trick. Total War Warhammer 3 has been definitely a testing ground for Warhammer in general. Like there's snipers, rocket launchers, there's all kinds of weapons, machine guns, Gatling guns in your fantasy game, and you're like, what is this? There's tanks, there's all kinds of stuff. So maybe the leaker is wrong and they don't need it, they're not making a new engine. Maybe you never know. Leaks are sometimes or most of the time not completely accurate, but they're kind of accurate. So that's really all I have to say about this. You two apparently had a love affair with Star Wars Republic Commando.
Yes. It is. Well, I've been humming the battle music, and this is what you're greeted with when you start up Star Wars Republic Commando. Okay, just listen to this. I mean, guys, like, name another Star Wars.
Crash.
That's Symbol Crash and everything. Name a game, name a Star Wars game where you're like, oh shit, this is gonna get fucking real. And right before the episode started, I was wondering if this music is anything significant in the Star Wars universe, and apparently it is. It is the Vode On, and it is sung in the Mandalorian language, which is Mandoa. And this is significant, I guess, and if you're a fan of the Mandalorians, because it's the first time this Vode On has been vocalized, which is a war song of the Mandalorians. So that is the lore behind the entry music into the game. But Bobby, tell me, why did you pick this game, and did you have fun, and what was your experience?
So I picked this game because they put a lot of effort into making this game back in 2005. I remember when Republic Commando came out, like I bought it right off the shelf as soon as it came out. It was kind of a big deal, and I think a lot of people have forgotten about it, maybe even overlooked it at the time. But if you watch the extras, the bonus footage on this game, like you see the effort that they went into to make this game. It is LucasArts, it is Lucasfilm, so they're gonna do everything to the extreme as far as a technical level. So the Foley, back when I used to teach video production in middle school, I used to show the clip, like it's a 3-minute clip of the Foley artist making the sound effects for this game, because it was really good. She would cut up, I think she used cut cantaloupe in half, and then that wet kind of thumping sound, she'd smack it on the ground, and that was the footsteps of the Trandoshans.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's pretty awesome. How were there any like issues running the game or anything?
No. So as far as running the game, and so back in 2018, I played this game. It was right after I finished playing. I had streamed 13. Is that the game? Yeah, 13, that comic book one. And I streamed it, and some people were watching. So I was like, man, I need another game. So I started streaming this one, and then I kind of lost interest right away. And I've always wanted to return to this game. It runs just fine, always has. But I discovered this kind of, I guess it's a few things. It's a widescreen fix, but it's also a graphical upgrade that helps it run in it's like a texture pack basically, and it looked fantastic. Texture pack and some shaders. It looked awesome on the widescreen. It looked better than it ever has before, honestly. And it's an old game, man. 2005. Like, it's an old one. I mean, there's so much I want to say about this game because I played it a lot back in the day. I came into this with a lot of baggage, I guess you could say. I really got into it this week, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. It's a little longer than I remember. I made it about halfway through. It's like a 9-hour game, but some of the things that I found annoying when I first played it, I kind of understood this time around. So again, if you watch the extras on this game, they talk about how they got military, I don't know, like Navy SEALs or something, and they didn't like mocap, but they observed them and got their motions and used that in the game. They also mentioned that in the commentary when I was watching the prequel trilogy with the commentary. They mentioned in the third one that they did that for Revenge of the Sith because George Lucas felt that Attack of the Clones, he could tell that they did the mocap on animators and it just didn't look right for the clone troopers. Like, they didn't look too militaristic in their movements.
That was one of the biggest problems of Star Wars Episode 2. When I watched that movie, I'm like, God damn, the thing that really stands
This looks
out
like a bunch of fucking nerds running around.
God, it's not the dialogue. I hate sand. Padme loves. It's not it's the movement, guys.
Hate sand. So the idea of this game is AI companions were like super big back in the early 2000s, late 90s. Like late 90s, everybody was trying to make an AI companion game. John Romero with Daikatana, like everybody was going for that. They thought it would, I don't know, it was like the next thing in gaming or something. This is a little later, 2005, and they really did a good job with this. Even in Star Wars Obi-Wan, there's a lot of Qui-Gon Jinn joins you for a lot of missions as a companion. But that was like a big thing back then. So this gives you an entire squad. So you're the commander, you're a clone trooper. The intro is you like growing up as a clone super fast. Like, it's kind of cool.
Dude,
actually.
I forgot
I was 4 years old.
Did I write that down? That is one of the cool. Oh, I thought I wrote that down. But to see yourself being born as a clone and seeing these Camino fucks, these Camino cloners make you into a war machine, that's fun, dude. That's awesome.
You're in the little classroom with the headset.
Yes.
The next thing you know, you're doing the combat training with the other clones. So like, you get fast forwarded through the life of a clone or the birth of a clone. And then you're like this elite unit and you have your partners. So it's basically the Bad Batch or like Ninja Turtles. They even, your team even has colors. There's like yellow, red, and green. One of them's Fixer and he's like the hacker nerd guy. One of them's like, I don't know. I think his name's Sev, and he's the like the tough guy. Talks with a deep voice, and then the other guy is the explosions guy. So they've all got their little characteristics. But during the game, you can command these, and that was the whole conceit of this game: is that you are leading a squad. You are not just a first-person shooter where you run in, you blow stuff up. No, you like take cover and you say, "Okay, you over there," and you take that point and with a sniper, and you take. Like that turret or something, and you can even do the little hand movements that always look so cool in the movie, like form up and hold and all that stuff. And when I first played the game, I kind of found that a little clunky. I don't know, but I think the game is meant to be like that. You're not meant to just run in and like shoot everybody up. The enemies are like bullet sponges too. They take a lot of hits. So you're really supposed to be a little more methodical with it.
The fucking Super Battle Droid Mark IIs. I've never, in every game that I've come across them, obviously they're a bit better than the B1s, right? Those dinky little B1s. But in this game, it's like, oh shit, one of these guys is coming. Everyone focus your fire on this fucker, because it is going to be a bullet sponge for like maybe 30 seconds of combat.
The sniper rifle works well on them. But yeah, you really have to like tell your team focus fire on this target, or make sure that they actually take like a sniper position. So they use their sniper modification and do a lot more damage. They can also revive you if you get down, and you can revive them.
Which happened
Like
to
all
me a
sorts of
lot.
stuff like
I
that.
was feeling like I sucked at this game, Bobby.
It's a
So
difficult
many
game.
times.
And not only that, but when you're giving these commands, you can't do anything with your gun. So it really has that built-in delay, where you have to be more tactical than just run and gun. One of the cool things is you always, and there's always, you reach points where you have to like get somebody on a console and they have to do something and you have to cover them. But the door breaches I thought were just so cool. When you come across a door, you can have your hacker guy hack it, and then you can sneak in, or you can door breach it, and everybody gets in a little formation. They set a charge, blow the door open. One guy tosses a grenade in, backhand. It looks all cool and everything. Yeah.
Tactical, if you will.
Yeah. Very, very tactical, man. Yeah. You know what the
Kill
game
me.
really needs though is boss fights. Like the enemies, they get a little repetitive. The levels get really repetitive. Like every game back in the day, I feel bad because like, how do you do level design? Every single room looks the same, just different wallpaper, right? So I don't know how you fix that, but the game does get a little repetitive. There's no boss fights, but there's just little cool details in it that I just think are so awesome. When you melee somebody, or when you like kill them really close, they splatter on your visor and this little electronic thing wipes across and
It's
smears it
so
away.
not needed, but so cool, dude. So cool.
It obstructs your vision just for a moment. But even the droids, when you kill a droid, they're a little like, I don't know, battery fluid or something comes spurts all over your visor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am all about Star Wars making the enemies within Star Wars serious again. You know, like
Mhm. And
so
this game
like
felt serious. This game
it
felt like it
did
was
felt
taking itself
serious.
serious. Although
Yes.
there was some, they have some funny lines because you're always with your team, and they bark out some funny stuff.
Yeah, I have one here. I was immersed in the game. I was like, "Oh fuck, this is serious." And then I think Sev, he said, "Eat plasma, you stupid droids." I was like, "Wait, what? That's what you're saying on the battlefield?" This this is a bit of a bird walk, but this really reminds me of this book that I started reading from my childhood called Star Wars MedStar 1 Battle Surgeons. And this is the first Star Wars book I read where I was like, oh, Star Wars can be like gritty and cool in this way. And this is just the first paragraph. It says, blood geysered, looking almost black in the antisepsis field's glow. It splattered hot against Josh's skin-gloved hand. He cursed. The whole book is like that. It's very, it follows these trauma surgeons on the front line of like this planet that makes Bacta. And when I was playing this game, it reminded me of this book because like thematically, it like in this book, the enemies are dangerous. You know, these clones come back with all sorts of injuries, and they're like, "Oh, that was a Hellfire droid," you know, just knocked out an entire platoon. And you feel kind of the scale of the battle in Star Wars Commando, which was a welcome addition after Star Wars Obi-Wan, where every enemy is like nameless, and I just throw my lightsaber and like 50 people die.
Yeah, and this is a Star Wars game without a lightsaber. Although while crawling through like a ventilation shaft, I saw a lightsaber. It was just sitting there. I couldn't pick it up or anything, but I've never come across that before when I played this game previously. It's like this little Easter egg. But yeah, this is a Star Wars game without a lightsaber. And you were talking about that inventory system in Industria earlier, and I feel like this is one of those games. Star Wars Republic Commando is one of those games, kind of like Dead Space, where they do a good job of incorporating the UI into the world.
Yes.
Dead Space is really the ultimate example of that. I mean, it has no UI. Everything is completely diegetic. You have your health on your, you can see your health on your helmet or your spine or whatever, and your charges also on your back. And
Yeah.
when you bring up your inventory, it's that little hologram. I mean, it's completely cinematic, but this one kind of does that to a certain extent. You've got your visor, and you can see your units in there. And when you have your guns out, you can see the ammo on the gun. Like the little clip, you can see the ammo draining out of the clip. It's very cool. There's just so many cool things about this
They
game that,
didn't have to go that hard, Bobby, did they? They didn't have to ball so hard, you
well,
know?
they did, man, and like I applaud them. It's just a shame that like the game, it suffers some real fundamental problems that are partly because it's just like an old game. You know, it's from a different time when just first person shooters were just, it was sufficient to have someone just run through a bunch of levels and shoot a bunch of enemies, but now we kind of expect more from our games. But I do admire a lot of things about this game. The music, of course, like you pointed that out. When this game came out back in the day, I played a lot of multiplayer too, and I remember this game as having the weakest melee attack ever in multiplayer. In the game, in the single player campaign, your melee attack, which is very cool, a little blade pops out and you like kind of Wolverine somebody in the face.
A vibroblade.
Yeah, it's very powerful. It'll
Fucking
like one
nerds.
shot like the normal enemies, but
Yeah.
in the multiplayer, I'm not joking here. It took like 8 hits of melee to kill somebody. It was comical. Um, yeah. So and again, the melee back then was just like Doom multiplayer. It wasn't anything like outstanding or anything. But yeah, man, Republic Commando, I'm so happy to see that like people took the time to mod this game. I never even thought to get a texture, like an HD texture pack or upgrades or mods for this, but like when I started looking, they were all over the place. Like people put some work into this game and really enjoy it. And I don't know. I really enjoyed it this time around.
I think we don't need a Star Wars Squadrons 2, and we don't need a Star Wars Obi-Wan 2, but we could use a Star Wars Republic Commando 2. I think that would be something I would be excited to play.
I think what the Star Wars universe needs, or at least the cinematic universe as we know it, whether it be the games or just everybody in general, I think Star Wars just needs to be more serious. Like that's why Andor is so good. It's not like playfully funny. It's not like and like episode 1, 2, and 3 are all like pretty much, oh, not all of them, but they're pretty much like joke movies 40% of the time. But like Andor is super serious. Like imagine if they made Republic Commando and like the first thing you see is like a droideka split a guy in half and you're like, oh my god. Like
Yeah.
that would be fucking awesome. Like I think that's what the Star Wars gaming world needs. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think the Star Wars bounty hunter fucking, not bounty hunter, but like
Oh,
smuggler game is
Outlaws, that
gonna do
one?
well. I don't think it's
Yeah.
gonna do well. I think everyone is tired of the same feel. They need to do what Marvel did in like 1970, where they went from like uh the old hacky like drawings and thing like that, and then they went super serious. Like they just need to kind of change the atmosphere a smidge. Like there's plenty of stuff for young adults and kids. They need to make things for adults, but that's just me.
More lightsaber dismemberments. That's what we need.
Yeah, exactly.
This book I'm reading is really cool because I think it also would make a good, and the Star Wars universe is just such a cool setting to put multiple games in. I would like to see, it's like that Surgeon VR game, but it's in the Star Wars universe, and you're like, oh, he was hit by a thermal detonator. What do we do? And it's like,
His body's just incinerated on one half.
yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. That was an awesome highlight section, but not as awesome as what you have been saying in our Discord, telling us what you're playing every week. That is so cool. We thought we would shout out some people every week and what they're playing. So this highlight section is brought to you by Biblioclasm playing Dwarf Fortress, and he said, I noticed 4 human skeletons at the bottom of a small pond. The pond is a decorative part of my tavern. It freezes in the winter. Last winter, there were 2 human warriors and a couple of human bards dancing and conversing atop a little frozen pond. Well, it turns out they must still have been there when the spring came and the pond thawed because they clearly cannot swim. And then he shared a picture of 4 skeletons at the bottom of this pool in the tavern, and he goes into a little bit about why that's a problem for the water in this tavern to have, decaying human flesh in it in Dwarf Fortress. So, if you want to hear that, And if you want to share what you've been playing this week, head to our Discord, find it on dlgaming.net, and have a look around and tell us what you're playing. Now we're switching to On the Radar, games that have caught our attention. And Bobby, Lorelei from Gilmore Girls?
Did not watch that show, so I do not know.
God damn. All right.
This is Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. So this is it's a puzzle adventure game. It's out right now. It came out just recently on May 16th. But the reason I put it on here is it is from the developers of Year Walk. And I'm sure we all remember Year Walk. That game came out maybe 10 or more years ago. It was on mobile, where I think a lot of people played it. I played it on PC, but it was a very simple puzzle adventure game, dealing with like a mythological creature, and it was very scary. And if you've been listening to the podcast a long time, then you've probably heard the clip. I was playing that game and there's a jump scare in it, and I didn't realize I had my recording running, my NVIDIA whatever running and recording. Yeah. And when the jump scare happened, it was super late at night, and I yelled at my screen when it happened. So I had it all recorded. I played it on the podcast a few times. Maybe I'll dig it up, but I always remember Year Walk for that. So this is a game by the same developer. Interested to see what they're doing now. According to the reviews, it has a very abstract narrative. The story isn't very clear. And a lot of people have been complaining about the controls, but the reviews are still positive. It's funny because people complain about these things in the review, yet they still give it a positive review, and everything else they have to say is praise. So I think overall it is a good game. It's a non-linear puzzle game too, which I do enjoy. I think the first time I encountered that, maybe not the first time, is either Talos Principle or The Witness, but non-linear. So if you get stuck on a puzzle, you can just say, screw it, I'm going to go do another one. And that's actually the best way to do a puzzle game, in my opinion. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten stuck on a puzzle and it's just kind of ruined the game for me, because puzzles are very strange. If you take some time away from them and you come back, sometimes you can solve them just in a minute. Like it just hits you. And I don't know what it is. You just come back with a different frame of mind, and it makes more sense. So having a non-linear puzzle game where you can just, not anytime you run into a problem with a puzzle, you just go to the next one. Like that just, I don't know. I think that makes for a much better experience, keeps more people playing your game longer and have a better time doing it. So I don't know, kind of interested in this one. Price tag is $25. And yeah, that's Lorelei and the Laser Eyes.
Nice. Coming from Bobby's attention because of some great pedigrees. Unfortunately, there is no Gilmore Girls game, which is very, very tragic. Don't have to... if you get me in a drink at a bar, you'll hear me talk about the walkability of the town in Gilmore Girls, and it's just such a great set piece for the relationships in that show.
So some Christian bingo card goes on a rant about Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, remember your bingo card.
Okay. He has his own bingo card, and it's just set up for failure, so he can choose the sound again.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about Homeworld 3 for my On the Radar. It came out on the 13th of May, and because we're playing Star Wars games in May, I'll be waiting for next month to actually play it through and give you my opinion. But as a big, fat disclaimer, I worked on this game pretty closely on the marketing side, so my review can't be too negative, so just keep that in mind. I'm going to be focusing on what I love about the Homeworld universe.
You're like, I'm sacrificing my job today. This game sucks.
Yeah, no.
I'm kidding. Oh, I don't know anything about Homeworld 3. I'm sure it's a great game.
Well, yeah, I also hope it's a great game because as a kid, I loved the Homeworld franchise. I made these little fan fictions about each individual fighter pilot in my Homeworld fleet. Because you take the fleet with you from mission to mission, it's a persistent campaign. So whenever you lose a ship, at least to me as a kid, it felt very impactful. It was like, who was on that ship? Maybe they like someone on another ship, and they're never going to see him again. Oh man, that sucks. And I'd write little fan. I would just be immersed in the game.
I feel like your parents were like, "Why is Christian crying?" One of his pilots died again.
No, Blue 5, and I'd always name them after like Star Wars characters and fighter code names. Homeworld is about lost history and the voyage to find it. All the games kind of start from that perspective in Homeworld 1 and 2. You uncover kind of ancient technology and you have to go across the universe to reactivate it or find it. And then in Homeworld Deserts of Karak, you make a journey across the desert of one planet. And it has kind of this awesome it's an RTS, a 2D RTS that still has the 3D component that Homeworld kind of was famous for. So as you go to the top of a dune, since you have the vantage point on lower troops, you have like increased range, and all the projectiles are kind of mapped into 3D space. So if someone is behind a dune, you can perceive their existence, but your bullets can't physically go through the dune if they're taking cover. So that's kind of cool. And I am super excited about Homeworld 3, even though right now it's sitting at mixed on Steam. A lot of the reviews are citing story and writing as being a little too simple. So I guess I'll go in and I'll see what's up.
Well, I mean, we all know story is the least important factor in a video game, though. I mean, let's be honest here. Let's be honest. Read a book, folks.
Read a book, folks. Read Star Wars.
You want a
MedStar
story?
1.
Read a book.
Yeah. The Homeworld franchise is known for kind of these. It's not the. It's a typical sci-fi story, but it's done so well with the soundtrack and characters that it kind of outdoes itself. So yeah, I hope that again this is the case. Nick, what have you been? Oh, you're something on the radar that Emilio had last week on the radar. Interesting.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up a little bit more about it though, only because he didn't bring up a couple things. So the Akuma DLC features like a bunch of new costumes for a bunch of the other characters, which I believe are only like $2 each, which is pretty cheap compared to Street Fighter 5. It's only $7 for. I learned this today. Only $7 for each DLC character ever, which is not bad. Once again, it's kind of like the same thing with Total War. It's like, hey, you don't have to buy the whole pack, like 5 fighters that you'll never play. He's got a new costume, which as a Akuma fan, I don't like, but that's just me. I'm just a boomer at this point in the Street Fighter world.
Not my
I like him with.
Not my Akuma. Send him back.
My Akuma, that ain't my Akuma, damn it. No.
Are you pointing away from the mic, Nick? I feel like you got.
Why is it? Is there a volume change?
I think so, but I don't know.
Hopefully, is it better now? I think we're fine.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe I adjusted it on my level.
What do you call it? He does have his classic costume, which is provided for free, which is nice. I like that. Do that more. I like that. But yeah, he's considered one of the most interesting characters because he is one of the first glass cannon characters. He does an insane amount of damage, but he also takes a bunch. He also like can teleport or kind of like phase shift. I don't know about teleport's the right word. Like kind of he can phase through people's ranged attacks. For people who don't know anything about Street Fighter, he's like one of the main evil characters from the early games who was a secret character, which the only way you could get to unlock him was to perfect every match to include the final boss, which was incredibly difficult. And then if you beat him, you would unlock him as a playable character. And of course, he wouldn't be as strong as the boss version as you play him in the game. But he's still my favorite character because you could throw Hadoukens midair and they shoot at an angle. Yeah, just Akuma coming to Street Fighter in 2 days, May 22nd.
All right.
Great.
Akuma Matata.
Jokes.
That was so stupid. I don't know why I laughed. It was so good, though, at the same time. I can't deny genius when it comes to me like this. Okay, now it's time for the Guess That Sound. Just really quick overview of what Guess That Sound is. I'm going to play a sound for you guys, and you're going to guess it. You're going to send a guess into our email, pixelshitshow@gmail.com. Every wrong guess that I read on the show, we add $5 to the pot. Our first pot got to $110. Berkham J successfully guessed. Our second pot got to $25 because Scram guessed it on day one. So hopefully that doesn't happen again, even though that was an excellent and specific guess. And this week, I have two sounds. One is a sound from a game that Nick loves and enjoys, and the other is a sound from a game that Bobby loves and enjoys. And to decide which sound gets picked on this episode, we bingo card battled against each other. And I just want to know where your bingo cards stand. Has anyone got a bingo?
Bobby, do you?
I do not have a bingo yet.
I think I have a bingo. I need a bingo check according to the bingo rules from like the 2 times I've ever actually played bingo.
Okay.
So talks about a 20-year-old game. He mentioned it when he was streaming one of the older games, right?
Okay.
Said San Diego for the mail-in segment.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then a joke that brings down the house, the Akuna Matata and, and Not My Akuma were both banger jokes.
Those were so good. Okay, Nick, I think you got the bingo. So we're going to play your sound. But Bobby, before we continue, can you play or can you tell us what was on your bingo card that you X'd off?
So you messed up the bingo card. The center square in bingo is supposed to be the easiest one. Yeah. And you put talks about his time in the Navy in the center square, which I feel like comes up from time to time, but that's not a center square thing. The ones that I had talks about Warhammer.
Yeah. That should have been center square. That's my bad. That's my bad.
Or mentions Magic the Gathering. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And then he talks about food and then gets really deep into lore. Those are the ones I had checked, but
no bingo.
Yeah. If I had makes a sound effect with mouth, that would have given me a bingo.
Damn. And it was gonna make it. For you, Bobby, I have mentions Deep Rock Galactic, says Dwarf Paladin, says the word dignity, says San Diego, joke that brings down the house, talks about a 20-year-old game, mentions tech problems, stalls for some time while somebody else is busy, and brings up Wi-Fi speed. That's the whole bingo card. Says San Diego. I'm like, this motherfucker's not gonna say San Diego unless he's gonna be like, brought to you by, or all the way from San Diego.
I think he says it a lot. I think he says it
up a lot. Yeah,
you give him a hard one.
I'm from California. That's what we do, dude. That Saturday Night Live sketch of the Californians. That's too true, man.
Cool. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed this head-to-head bingo. I hope to do it again, maybe with doing bingo correctly where the middle space is free, even though I think that's a bit of a giveaway. I like to think we have hardcore bingo on this show. You know, you really have to work for it.
Okay?
We need Christian Emilio bingo next week.
Yeah, interesting.
Emilio's got that bingo blood, dude.
Center square for Emilio gets up and takes a piss. I mean,
dude, that's
center square. Right?
If that didn't happen, I would be actually scared for him. I'd be like, "Are you peeing right now?"
Center square for Christian is going to be wrangles a cat.
Oh yeah, that does happen. Yeah.
We need like a $5 bounty for anybody who can count the amount of times that Emilio has not taken a piss in an episode.
I don't think it's ever happened.
No.
Somebody made bingo cards for us one time. I think it might have been Jen's. I can't remember. Somebody did this. It's out there. This is from a while ago, but
you know what? Here's a call to action. Make bingo cards for us and see how degenerative they are for us.
Forget about Patreon. Forget about Discord. Forget you even know how to type dlgaming.net. We need bingo cards and we need them yesterday. So, cool. You know what's funny about that bingo card maker? Whoever he was, he must have been a super big fan. I also made a bingo card when I first started listening to this show. When the live show was in Discord, all the way back in the day, and people would join the voice
Wow.
chat to hear the recording. Yeah. So I guess it comes full circle, you know? It's like what George Lucas says. It rhymes, you know? It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to play Nick's sound. Okay, this is the sound you are guessing. pixelshitshow@gmail.com to guess.
I know where that's from.
All right, you heard it here, folks. He knew as soon as this. I
know
saw
what?
his face light up on the second note that came out.
Oh man, that was that you know what's weird? You know what's weird is that one sound can piss off a lot of people.
Interesting.
Dropping some hints
Dropping
here.
some
Okay.
hints.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of people
okay.
that don't like that sound for some reason.
For some reason. I guess we'll never know. Subs and donos, Emilio. Damn, he's not here. We don't have any subs and donos anyways. Listener questions, Bobby?
Yeah, and we only have two. One of them is directed at Emilio and I, so I guess we'll save that for next week. So we just have one, and it's from Zap. And he asks, what's your favorite Star Wars ship, canon or extended universe?
I have mine. If you guys want to hear mine non-Star Wars
yes,
ship.
I would. Oh wait, not Star Wars related?
No, sorry. Like, you know how you get like non-Star Wars expert level.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
For a ship.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
The TIE Defender. It looks so funny, but it looks so effective. It's got 6 guns, but it looks like you super glued 3 TIE fighters together.
Yes.
Yeah, it's known as the TIE Defender. It was in Star Wars Rebels. It's in a couple of other forms of media. But yeah, it definitely looks very intriguing.
It's in Star Wars Squadrons. We talked about it on an episode you weren't here as being one of my favorites because it's made, the lore behind it is Grand Admiral Thrawn's people and the Empire got together and made that ship. So it has a cool little history. And it looks cool.
And there's a
Bob?
Lego set for it.
There's a Lego set for everything. Actually, there probably isn't a Lego set for the ship I'm going to talk about. It is the Sun Crusher. Is that going to ring any bells for you folks?
Well, I mean, the only Sun Crusher I know is from Magic the Gathering. There's your bingo, Bobby. I'm kidding. But no, I'm looking it up right now to see what it looks like.
Cool.
Oh, I do remember this.
Whoa,
Yes.
that thing's weird.
It's so weird that Star Wars keeps coming up with super weapons. So the Death Star, it destroys a planet, you know? And in the new movies, they have Starkiller Base, which destroys a whole solar system. Sun Crusher was an Imperial super weapon developed in the Maw installation, which is this secret base in the middle of like 4 or 5 wormholes, so it can't be detected, and it's really difficult to get inside it unless you know the exact way. And it crushes suns, so it shoots a fortified photon torpedo at a sun, which supernovas the whole star system, which is like, guys, if this technology exists, like it should be like this is the super weapon you want in the Star Wars universe, right? Like,
I don't
Some
like how
Warhammer shit
Star
right
Wars
there.
always has to one up itself, you know? Like we had the Death Star,
Yeah.
and then they're like, okay, Star Killer Base. And then by the time we get to the whatever the hell that last Star Wars movie was, it's just like, you know, they're shooting lightning and bringing down like all these enormous like they just get bigger and bigger. And now we got like one that blows up the galaxy or blows up a solar system. Eventually, they're just going to be like, the big bad is going to be something that destroys like time and space.
it's going to be just
mean,
Marvel.
the
It's
stakes
going to
just
be a
keep
Marvel
getting
storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna start time traveling. Hell yeah, dude.
There's power creep. It's a problem. Power creep in the Star Wars universe. Big problem.
Big problem.
What about you, Bobby? What's your favorite ship?
I liked the ships of the bounty hunters. When I played the Star Wars CCG, that was the first time I ever really. I also read that book, Tales of the Bounty Hunter, but that was kind of the first time I became aware of like Bosk's Houndstooth or the Mist Hunter, which was Zuckuss and Forlom's ship. And then, of course, there's a slave one with Boba Fett, which I always thought was a very weird ship, to be honest. Like it kind of just The
It
way
doesn't
it
look
flies,
aerodynamic.
yeah, it flies like a B-wing. But and then they renamed it like a couple years ago. There was it was a little controversial. You know how Star Wars nerds get because
Yeah.
obviously because of the name. I think it first happened on a Lego set. Like they changed the name of it on Legos because it felt kind of weird to have slave on a Lego set for 5 and 7 year olds. But
What did they change it to? I forget even.
Rape 7.
Sorry?
Christ! Jesus Christ! It is now called the fire spray. Jesus Christ, dude.
Oh my god, dude.
Oh my god. I
God.
am no longer the comedian of the podcast. Bobby now wins.
I didn't expect.
Yikes. All right. Well, I mean, we're getting the E anyway, guys. So I mean
Yikes.
we already got the E. We're gonna end with an E as well.
He yiked his own. He yiked his own joke. That should be on the
Yikes
bingo
my
card.
joke. Yeah, they called it the
You can-
fire spray, but
You can clip this this audio right here and be like, "Hey, at the end of this show is arguably the best joke."
Yeah.
Or shock value.
Yes, not a great joke. I do have to go on the record and saying, but very funny, Bobby. Good job. Nice.
I almost choked on my spit, dude.
Yeah.
So regarding ships, though, I do want to talk about the Executor because that's a very cool ship.
Mhm.
But I was watching Return of the Jedi last night, and you know how that thing gets blown up? So they shoot like this little tower off of it. I don't know what that does, brings down its shields or whatever. And then an A-wing that's lost control kamikazes into that area where all the commanders are, and that brings down the entire Executor. That just seems like a design flaw. I don't know.
That doesn't work. That's not how it works even in real life.
Yep.
So
It's it loses all power to all systems and goes into the Death Star, right? It crashes into the edge of the Death
Yeah, and
Star.
there's something that Admiral Nita says he's an admiral by that point. He says something. There's a bit of dialogue where someone tells him like they've taken out our something like rear shield deflectors or something like that, and then he gives a command, and then the A-wing, like you see the guy flying the A-wing, and he's like yelling because he lost control, and he just kablamo right in there. I mean, you can look this scene up on YouTube, but I don't know, man. Like I've seen that movie so many times and never really paid attention to that part. I'm just like, you took out the whole Executor because that was like a big thing in Empire Strikes Back. It's like you've seen the Star Destroyer. Now here's one that's like 10 times as big.
Power creep. Yep.
Yeah. And then all you have to do is fly one A-wing into it, apparently, and there it goes.
Yeah, not a great investment. The Empire doesn't really get a lot of credits back on their big ships, it seems. I haven't recovered from Bobby's joke mentally. So next question by Piratical. What do we got?
Okay. Well, this one we'll let Emilio answer it next week, but he says, Bobby and Emilio, you are cusper Gen X millennials, as am I. Did you both play Oregon Trail at school? I don't know. Emilio must have. So Piranical also posted this chart that shows what a cusper Gen X millennial is. And it's this weird patch of people between 1977 and 1983 that are not quite Gen X and not quite millennials. What's interesting about that is Emilio was born in 77. I was born in 83. So we're both on either end of that. And I totally understand what he's talking about here because I have always felt like I never quite fit in with millennials. I technically am one, but it didn't really quite line up for me. There's a comedian, I can't remember what her name is, but she's got some comedy special called Elder Millennial, and she makes a bunch of jokes about that. But yeah, if you're like that age, you are kind of caught in this weird space. But yeah, I played a ton of Oregon Trail. Fridays, computer lab, Apple IIs, Oregon Trail. Loved it. Never beat it. I remember one person in the class beat the game, and we were all so impressed. Like, whoa, how did you do it? I got to go back and see if the game is really that hard. I don't think it was, but
it's a lot of RNG. It's a lot of RNG for a game that has things to set up to fail. Even I played it in the first grade, the original Oregon Trail on a Mac.
Jesus Christ, how old is
school?
Okay.
And yeah, like literally, I think three people in our like 30 kid class or 20 kid class beat it in like a year, and we're like, haha.
Yeah.
What
Everybody
else
just
are you
wanted to
guys
do the
doing?
hunting.
You guys are like outside skipping stones, playing hops. Like, how old are you people? Like, you're
I'm from
you're playing
92, dude.
marbles in the parking lot. You're like, ooh, my marbles. I don't know, Jesus. I'm surrounded by old farts. It's horrible.
You're like
I
29.
mean, it was a big deal, man. It was a big deal. We didn't have computers everywhere. We had, like, if you were lucky, your
Oh, here
school had a
comes the
computer lab,
here
and then you would get to
comes.
go in there and you'd play games, and it was the coolest thing, especially for like someone like me who was really into that stuff.
Right.
But I imagine by the time you got, do you even remember chalkboards? Did you have chalkboards when you went to school?
Yeah, because my French teacher he was really old and he insisted, like, they were offered to put the whiteboard in his class and he was like, "No. I only teach with chalk or I'm not teaching." So
Oh,
I
wow.
got taught with chalk until grade 9. Yeah.
Because you had a
My
weird teacher, though. Not
Yes. Yes.
my school, when I went to Catholic school till 3rd grade. Every single one of them had chalkboards. They were mainly used for math, so that was interesting.
Mhm.
That's about it.
Yeah. By the time I got to middle school, it was all whiteboards, but I
Did you guys ever
remember
have smart
chalkboards.
boards? Bob, you
Yeah,
know
now
about
we have
smart boards,
smart
right?
boards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that shit's nuts.
those are.
You know what those are, Sniper?
Smart boards?
Smart
Yes.
boards, yeah. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
fucking so crazy. For those who don't know, they're essentially like a giant touchpad computer screen without like the LCDs and everything. It's usually projector based onto like a tactile board.
Yeah, they're not
And you can
projector
like
based anymore. They're just a
they're
big
not.
TV. No, they don't
Oh
use
shit, that's
projectors.
nuts.
I
So it shows how old I am. The ones I used were projector based, okay?
I have a
I know we had
formative
4
memory.
colors.
I have a formative memory of someone from my class going up and writing on the smart board, and someone had replaced the black marker because they come with the 4 colors of markers that hang below, like red,
Yeah.
green, black. So someone had replaced that black marker with a permanent black marker, and so she was writing on the smart board in permanent marker, and she went to erase it, and she said, "Oh my God, I'm David Blaine." It's still a hilarious joke for the people in my class because I went to school with the same 12 people until I graduated from kindergarten to grade
Okay.
12. So that brings down the
that's
house
a
in our
story,
group.
dude. We don't have time to unpack that right now. But we
Yeah,
will,
that is
we will
definitely
get
some
back to
trauma
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna start the episode
Okay.
next week interviewing
What's-
you about your education system in Canada.
What's everyone playing next episode?
Good question. What are we playing? We've got one more week of Star Wars,
One
and
more
it's
week
your
of
turn
Star
to
Wars.
choose the game.
Yeah, God, I didn't come as prepared as I should have. I brought these bingo cards and these sound effects,
Yeah.
and I didn't even pick the next game. I'll have to think about it. I don't know. Dang.
Dude, I'll be honest. I started playing the remaster of Dark Forces. That game is so much easier when you can actually see what things are. Like
Right.
the hardest part about playing Dark Forces is just
Was the
trying
dark.
to understand what pixels, like what the pixels represent.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
is that a door? Is that a switch? Is that a button?
What
Oh
the
no,
fuck
it's an
is that?
enemy. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll go through the list. Maybe Dark Forces. That sounds cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to influence you, but and we just played like a Star Wars first person shooter. I don't know, maybe something
Why don't we
else.
do Empire at War?
What
Yeah,
do
we
you
can
mean
do that. We
we?
haven't done our
I would
teams.
love to have Nick in this group, but Nick, you're interested in playing a Star Wars game with us next week? That tickles my fancy.
Let me see if it's on Steam, and probably. But I'll be playing by proxy. So Leslie likes to do this thing at the end of the day where she tells me everything that happens during the day, including what she read or learned in school, which is nice. It's usually like an hour session of talking about cool shit. And I bought her Hellblade 2, and so Sanguine Saga, and I'm gonna probably hear about that the whole time and talk about it as well. I'm not gonna play it only because I don't know. I just have other games to play. Yeah.
Sweet. Well, I'm down for Star Wars Empire at War, but I will ask you guys to download a mod that makes the game playable just from the Steam Workshop because it is kind of an older RTS and it's a little clunky, but this mod really, it's kind of needed to play. So Star Wars Empire at War, folks, we're going in. Let's
We're doing
fucking go! Perfect. Okay. Who's gonna close us off? Nick, with a sound effect, maybe.
Brrr. Here comes the ending of the show. Star Wars titties.
Bye.
Oh yeah, it can't be expensive.